Awesome. I think we can get started over here. So today's session is titled Kill Spaghetti Code Ship Structure.
Mhm.
Really super glad to have everyone over here. My name is Nassir Khan. I do developer marketing and developer experience here at Opsera. And today I'm very happy to be joined by Gayathri Kanchinadham, full stack developer. She's been a full stack developer for about 10 years at IBM. And she's had about 2 decades of experience in full stack development, cloud technologies, and AI-driven solutions over the last, as I mentioned, 2 decades. So really glad to have her first-hand experience over here. We will be doing these kind of sessions on a regular basis, every two weeks or so. So we can really show you firsthand experience of how our agents work in the real world. And it makes a lot of sense to bring practitioners on board to show you how they're actually using these tools. Some quick house rules. Feel free to ping me if you have any questions anytime. We will leave some time at the end for questions as well. And we also have a very cool raffle. So we're going to do these, as I mentioned, these agentic workshops. We're going to be sharing a schedule soon. Make sure to add it to your calendar. So let's get started over here. So we touched on this a couple of weeks back. The inner and outer loops of the SDLC cycle, have been out of sync for such a long time. The outer loop pipelines have been struggling to keep pace with the inner loop most of the time, and the burden is being pushed onto the developers to get involved in things like security and compliance. So there's this cognitive overload that they have, and they're getting burnt out, right? And this issue has really been magnified 10x by artificial intelligence and AI tools. So we have all the Claude codes of the world, the cursors of the world, people generating a lot more code. In fact, companies like Google are stating that 75% of their code is coming directly from AI. So what this does is you are getting a 10x code velocity that is crashing into a 1x shipping wall. So the freeway is just jammed worse than ever. And what we did with regards to this is we shifted some of these tasks from the outer loop to the inner loop. So things like security, compliance, SQL, architecture, and compliance, as I mentioned, we pulled those to the inner loop right within the IDE in the flow of the developers. So they have these agents working for them 24/7, making sure that the inner loop is moving at full speed and is synced out with the outer loop as well. So with that, I wanted to just take a step back and mention that there are these consequences of AI coding, right? You have 10x more code being generated by these tools. That creates things such as issues such as architectural drift. This is like unintentional gradual, deviation from a system implementation from its planned architecture, and it really increases technical debt over time. And then you have this spaghetti code. This is poorly structured code produced by these LLMs that is difficult to maintain, and it's really hard to understand. And I'm seeing this trend taking a foot. Companies are worried about this. And so while AI speeds up your prototyping, it frequently creates technical debt that is unseen, and then someone has to go and debug this. So what if you could solve this early on and set the right types of guardrails? And that's what this workshop is about. So if you have a laptop, feel free to join in and play around. If you've downloaded, if you've signed in and downloaded the MCP into Claude or Cursor, play around with it, see what's going on, or just listen and then replay this, and Gayathri will guide you down how she uses the architectural agent. So Gayathri, over to you.
Thank you so much, Nasser, for setting the stage and giving an introduction about what our agents are currently trying to help in which phases of the entire life cycle of the software development. So coming to the specific architecture agent, I can say that in an overview, it is acting as a senior software architect which comes and which resides inside your IDE. It could be as a plugin or an MCP agent, so that it is going to help you at every commit stage. Like whenever you're trying to do a commit, it is going to assist you at every stage of the commit. What it does is it just doesn't do like code review or code security or something, but on an overall overview, it is acting as an AI orchestration layer, which is intelligently orchestrating across the AI. With the help of that orchestration, it is going to generate the system designs, like the system architecture design, how the data flow has been designed in your system, what is the auth boundaries which are being set in your system, or what could the CI/CD look like, what is the security defense, and how is the dependency graph, everything which has been like each of that aspect couldn't be looked upon when a developer is using an IDE or any agentic coding assistance when you're trying to develop this code. It not just does that, it also acts with a three-phase analysis. First, it observes the structure, analyzes the dependencies, and it also produces a risk score based on that architecture. So you can understand wherever there is a drift which is silently happening, which is being introduced by any of this coding assistants into your code. And it also helps you in understanding the scalability and how the solution can be scalable for your market. Like today, we currently have this, and if you wanted to extend the pattern that has been executed by this code tomorrow to new features, or however it could be vertical scaling, horizontal scaling, what is meant or required for that system, right? So it understands that, and it also projects what is the scalability and what is the blast radius for that. And it is like we are using an light LLM, which is going to help you and do the orchestration, and not just by navigating through this simple skill.md file. With the help of this, maybe I should not miss the stride aspect of it, because we are doing the threat modeling as well whenever the architecture is being run, if there is any attack which is also happening. With that overview, let me show you how the architecture, how we are going to run this architecture agent and how we are going to configure and execute it. It's pretty simple. It should not take more than 2 minutes for you. Maybe if I can start sharing my screen. Yeah.
Are you able to share?
Yeah, probably. Just give me
There we go.
a moment. Yeah, sure. I hope you're able to see my screen. Yeah.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay. So here I've taken one of the open source repositories, and it is like not a simple 2 or 3 feature repository that I have done it, or something which I've done vibe coding in 1 or 2 days. It is a very well full structured monorepo, but it has like about 40K stars and more than 5,000 folks. So it is pretty predominantly happening repo, I could say that. And on this, we would like to understand how the architecture analysis is going to run. And here you can just give the simple natural language, run the Opsera architecture analyze agent.
What are you using? Are you using Cursor?
Yes, I'm currently
Okay.
using Cursor. And yes, it can be configured because I have already done the configuration using the MCP. It can be used as a plugin on Cursor
Right.
or Claude or any of those IDEs, as well as you can configure wherever an MCP is configurable. It could be Kero, Anti-Gravity, Cursor, VS Code, you name it, and we are having a solution for that.
Yeah, and I think we'll be announcing the plugin pretty soon for Cursor, but it's available there already. So
Yeah,
just making it as simple for developers being right in their path.
sure. So we are trying to run this architecture agent. I'm currently using it as an MCP agent, and I'm trying to run that. And what it does is initially it is going to analyze the code and give you like what could be the main constraints or the pain points or what could be the main areas of interest what you would like to look through, because it is not just giving you a standard set of questions which is not applicable for your application. It is going to run through the entire code, whatever is the tech stack, and then give you appropriately what are the, based on the context of the code, it will suggest you with the questions or where it could be improvement points or something like that. So that's what it is currently trying to do. And here, if I have to say this, I mean, it is going to also help you like have a predictable PR, like because this, since it is not going to give you any common questions or something, let's just walk through this. So it is doing the API structuring, the DB connections, the Prisma. It could be the OPM refactoring and other things. And based on this, it is going to ask us the questions like on which aspects we are trying to do. And here, I mean, as this is running, while this is running, I just want to present you what the architecture report looks like.
While you're running that, Gayathri, I have a quick question, very short. Can you restrict the number of variables or the output? Can you, in the plain English, when you asked it to run the analyzer, can you restrict the dimensions?
Yes, of course, we can
Okay.
definitely do that. Like we
Okay.
can just ask it to, I mean, if we have a specific intention or a context in mind, we could say that I wanted to understand how the refactoring is going to work like. And this is what I've generated. Like I was trying to understand like how if I have to do the refactoring of the code for this one, and then it is going to present us. So as I was discussing during the overview, right? Here are some of the architectural diagrams. You can just enlarge them and understand how how the flow is happening for each of them. This is the authorization boundaries. Like if there is, say, for example, I have to say if there is any session management that's just happening, or if there could be any, but like authentication, anything related to the authorization, authentication, and the session management. So all the aspects of that is going to be analyzed for this. This is the data flow diagram. I don't have to tell this. It's pretty self-explanatory. And even in each of the assessment, it is going to understand like where there could be a possibility of a risk. That is what is being highlighted over here in the red. Let me see if we could, yeah, here. Um, so um, this is the failure mode. Like if we have to have the scalability or and other things, like each of these figures are pretty self-explanatory. We need to expand them and we need to go understand each of the models and like wherever there could be a pose for any I mean constraints or any aspects that we have to have some, I mean, put some thoughts through about that. So we can understand that from this. So after we have all the, I mean, CI/CD pipeline, because that is, it could be the last place before it goes into the production understanding. And this is where most of the current DevOps engineers or security architects or any solutions architects are trying to resolve the issues, whatever the code which is being sent by the engineers who are developing with the assistance of AI agents generating the code. Let me just check through this. Yeah, here. So here, when we come to the report, oh, I'm sorry, just let me navigate back to the report. Yes.
And just quick to stop you over there. So this report is generated within the IDE or it's external and HTML that's put out. How do you view this report?
Okay, so yeah, we do have the option to download the report directly, or we can have it like we can have the scan history of whatever are the scans that are being made by the help of the agents. Like once you log into the portal, as you have your ID and other things signed in, you could see this. You can directly view this from the portal, or you could download
Okay,
it and see access it from there. And the
got
best
it.
I have to mention about this is you can give the custom instructions. It could be based on the persona or it could be based on the tool. So here, if I have to say, this here is the architecture, like this is a very basic things that I've given it, like when I say that the agent is doing some action, it says that it has, because whenever a security tool or any other tool, it could be there, which is scanning through the code for any CVEs or any vulnerabilities, it is going to check for the syntax or for the functionality basically, but it is not going to check for any drift in the architecture, what that could be silently induced into the code by the agent, like exposing some of the ports or the previous, it could be NPMs or anything. So we can manually give the instructions in simple English language for each agent, customizable to each of the application. It could be customized at the user level, it could be customized at the application level, org level, or everything is possible over here, because here are the SKUs and here are the tool customizations, and everything given in simple English, and it can be incorporated into the rules of the agent execution. Yeah. So going back to the report, so here we could see that this is the technology stack that it has scanned for, and how it is going to give us, like, what is the risk score, like how it is actually calculating the logarithmic risk, if there are any critical issues that it has identified, if there could be anything of high risk that has been, like, for example, as I told you, right, whatever are the vulnerabilities that are being included, and the medium threats and the other things, like just a second. Yeah, here maybe something, there are like the caching issues which are happening, or it could be because of the Prisma, like the DB structure and its associated queries with the ORM framework, or the API security gaps. For if I have to say that, when we wanted the API 1 to interact with API 2, and from 2 only it has to go to the 3. Such functional flows are not going to be identified by the agents. Like, but whenever you have this, like, it could say that, okay, the final goal that it has to achieve is API 1 has to send it to API 3. If the agent is understanding it in a different way, it would directly send the communication to API 3, but not involving API 2 in the middle. So at that time, either 3 has to reject it or 1 should not send that. Such functional flows, it could, like, it cannot be called in any of the unit test cases or something, because it seems to be correct.
Quick question on the risk score over here. Is this a weighted average?
Yes, of course. This is a weighted average based on, you have, everything is pretty transparent over here. You run through the report and you could clearly understand like how we are calculating this.
You touched on something earlier. You said some guardrails, right?
Yeah.
In plain English. If your AI is generating 1,000 lines of code, right? And it unfortunately passes some of the unit tests, and then, but still violates your architectural patterns.
Yeah.
How many weeks in your experience does it take of technical debt did that team just incur?
That's really tough question because of the AI. Because I'm sure if somebody says that I'm able to answer that, I may have to deny them, because what I think is I do not have an answer for that. When I have to back it with the explanation. Look, for example, as I was saying earlier, right? When there is a new feature which is being implemented and 1,000 lines of code is written by a developer, and then maybe after a couple of sprints, the developer wants to go ahead and he wants to extend the pattern of the same, or he wants to reuse the same pattern across maybe 10 more features. Then it is being expanded, but it is not being fixed at that time. And at that time, they will really understand what is the impact of having that. Or maybe, this is one probable scenario, or it could be like when a security audit is happening and then they understand that it has happened a drift in the architecture when during the security audit, and it could be happening only after the code has moved to production, maybe 6 months, or depending on how each organization takes it. And
So this could be thousands of man hours or hundreds of man hours to go and fix this now.
of course, it might take like many sprints, and we don't know how we could have to untangle sometimes also. They will have to refactor that and entirely do something rather than going to untangle and do that. And it is going to cost a lot.
Got it.
Yes. How many impacts it is having, it cannot be calculated, basically. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, so moving on with the strike threat modeling, this is like we understand like if there are any attacks which are happening or how it could be scaling, and I mean whatever are the discussions, like possibility is like it has to be uh, I mean whenever you're considering the architecture, you need to have its performance being measured, how you can scale it and ensure that security is being met, the flow has been contained. So all those things are being understood as a part of the architecture agent, and this is going to be met. And the best part of this is like you can understand and remediate even before the code is going to the PR review. So because of this, you will understand like at the time of the commit, when you're running this agents, you can have the remediation steps being suggested, and then you could remediate those steps. And once you move forward, there is a lot of like a lot of mess has been already cleared by then. So here we're running the agent. And now, like next, moving on to the other aspects, like what are the things which it could be doing? Like it might be answering the question. Oh, just a moment. I think I flashed it over. Yeah. So here are the some of the things which it is trying to present you with. Okay, the architecture report is being generated. Yeah. So along with the basic issues and what are the advances, and it also does something like the cost refactoring and other things. Like if, for example, in this architecture only, if we could see, we identified that there are like multiple cron jobs which are being run, which could be a uh, a possible I mean it could pose like, which is not a very functional requirement, but it might be taking a lot of a lot of cost on the implementation, like because of these are all the versal cron jobs which are being run on the scal.com, and whenever it is being executed, it is going to cost. But do we really functionally need those? And all those things like cost optimizations and other factors which we might not be considering, it might be taking one of the existing flow since this website that I've considered, right, it is cal.com, and here we are trying to make some bookings. So when you're making a booking, it is important to block the calendar immediately, and it has to happen every 1 minute. But maybe the other functional flows doesn't need the similar frequency of executing those jobs. Some of them can be executed over a week or over a day or after every 12 hours. But here, as you could see, there are many of the jobs which are being executed at a very frequent time intervals. So all those,
So, so
sorry,
this could amount to thousands of dollars over time in an enterprise environment of overrun, correct?
yes, definitely. So all those are, you can present any pain point, like if we wanted to have any optimizations, whatever you understand the scalability of the system, or if there is any technical, functional drift which is happening, or it could be any improvisations that you wanted to understand. You feel that there could, you potentially feel there could be some threat with the respect to authentication and authorization, or the database performance is not correct, whatever aspect of the architecture you wanted to understand, you just present it and you get to have the report in hand. So these are the configuring contradictions. As I was saying, it gives you all the remediation steps that you could follow, like based on the criticality, you get those and you can do the remediation and understand whatever is whatever can happen at scale, whatever is working best in your system, and what are the bottlenecks in the existing system.
So it actually provides you the remediation, and I mean you're a human in the loop, right? And Is
Yeah.
there like a signature or something of the checks and balances that were made or the improvements that were done?
Yes, definitely. Like whenever there is any remediation step which is being done, right? We do watermark the code, whatever is being like, if I say there is a functional, if I just give the cursor or Claude or any IDE agent, like I want to make this functional change, and it introduces some vulnerability. And after that, when we run this architecture agent, we understand that, and it is being captured. Then we definitely provide with a complete clear picture that this is being watermarked, that this Opsera agent and architecture analyze agent is trying to remediate this. And the human whoever is there, they would go through that. They would definitely have to approve the commit, understand, and it is being done with complete transparency. And I mean, if we have to also say this, we are also taking care of the protect our protector steps. Because like whenever we are trying to introduce an agent to your system, we have to have the industry best practices being, being followed and emphasized on our agents as well. So we make sure that we are also following whatever, it's not just one day's work, it is a journey. We keep improving, and we are currently following what are the industry best practices so that we do not introduce any vulnerabilities. Because recently I think I've been hearing a lot about the CVEs and other things which are being run. Those are
It seems like those are just going up like consistently over the last 3 or 4 weeks. There have been some really major incidents, and I wanted to like I think there's a question that came in on that. Is there a specific tool or would architecture analyzer have been able to help in that kind of scenario to like check on those environmental variables or stop AI from accidentally hallucinating a similar architectural vulnerability? Is this a type of tool that would have aided in that?
Yes, definitely. I'm sure most of the tools which are currently there in the market, right, they may not be able to do that. But I'm very confident in saying that our Opsera architecture analyze agent is able to do that in two ways. Primarily, I could say that since I've mentioned in the beginning, right, we are using the light LLM. Here, it is being like a more assertive way of understanding the path what the agent has to execute or perform. Whereas when a regular skill.md file is given, then it has to navigate through a lot of instructions to execute the job. I could bring you to the analogy of a direct path to your destination over going through a maze which you have to solve by yourself. That is a skill.md file, whereas our agent is going to be a direct path. And secondary thing, what we have specifically, I can say, is the stride threat model vector modeling, right? That is going to understand at each step, and whatever the instructions that we have shown, right? We are going to give here in the simple English, and all the architecture instruction, like whatever is the context and the intent that the architect actually has for defining your system modeling, system owned design, or whatever the environment variables, how what is the naming convention that it has to follow, everything has to be set here. And you can like all
So
these are going to be implemented in that.
so basically this is becoming your expert, your system expert over time. It's learning the best practices. Uh, Gayatri, I really appreciate this workshop. I kind of regret I should have extended it to 45 minutes to an hour because we're getting so many questions, but I'm going to pass over to Yusra right now because we have to do the raffle, and then we're going to run another workshop at some point.
Yeah.
Yusra, over to you.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you so much, Gayathri and Nassir. Definitely we'll be doing more of these. We want to get into a cadence of doing it even every 1.5 weeks. And thank you to the people that joined the last session. We just wanted to say before concluding, we wanted to announce today's raffle winner, Sean Ford. Keep an eye out for an email from me, Yusra at Opsera, on running our agents for more details on your Lego set. That wraps up today's session, our agentic workshop on the architecture analyzer. More to come in these series. Share with your colleagues, give us feedback on what you want to see from these, what you liked, what you didn't like. We're happy to take it and run with it. And we'll be sharing the recording to registrants shortly after the event so you can reference it in the future. And thanks again all for joining. We hope to see your faces and names at upcoming Opsera events. Thanks all. See you on the next one.
Bye.